Hey guys, this is Hell Hades. This is a Raid Shadow Legends video. Guys, we've got a special guest on the channel today. We've got Ash from Clash with Ash, or Ash Raid Shadow Legends. Ash, how you doing, man?
Hades, yeah, I'm doing great, man. I'm excited to be on the channel, dude. How are you?
I'm doing really well, yeah. I'm excited for this. So we're going to be talking about today the most underrated epic champions in Raid Shadow Legends. And I mean, I was just talking before we went live here, like doing stuff like free-to-play series really opens my eyes to champions that I thought were kind of like average to bad, but then they end up like hard carrying my new account. I mean, how do you kind of go about finding out these champions, Ash? How do you kind of find out, you know, where your underrated ones are coming from?
Well, I think that's a very good point. Similar to you, I think a lot of it is just like the free to play, and you're right. Sometimes it's kind of luck of the draw, right? Is you get you're like, okay, I think this epic might be pretty good, and next thing you know, you're like, okay, I need that epic on all my teams. For example, I had like Duck the Pierced or whatever, Duke Duck. What do you say?
Yeah.
Duck?
Duke the Pierced. Yeah, that's what I say, but I get it wrong all the time, so who knows?
I'm the same, man. That's my number one comments is how I mispronouncing names. But anyway, like him, I use everywhere. And I didn't even build them on my main account. So yeah, you really get this appreciation through, you know, carries or debuffers, whatever they may be on the free to play. Also, I like to do, I think it's what Madcapper has those like I built them so you don't have to series.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And
Yeah.
I've always been intrigued by champions that are kind of unsung heroes or might be. And sometimes I'm disappointed. And sometimes I'm like, wow, pretty solid champion, like a bunch on my list today.
Nice. Well, look, guys, we're going to be doing another video on Ash's channel. It's going to be at the same sort of time where we do the same type of idea, but for legendary champions. So I'm going to pin that down below. Make sure you check that out after this one. But Ash, just get into this. Who's going to be the first person on your list?
All right. First person on my list is also my number one, Hades. And dude, I think this champion, an orc champion, I don't know. I'll just come out with it. It's Tagoar, man. Do you know, I'm sorry. Do you know anything about Tagoar?
So I have not playtested Tagoar, and I think I was watching a video of yours where you were like, Hades has got this wrong. Like, he's underrated this dude. And yeah, so tell me about it. What's going on with this fella?
Dude, I love this orc, man. No one talks about him. He was kind of like, you know, I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I get all my news from Hell Hades, from your, like, it's so, I was looking at my phone this morning, and I was like looking at my YouTube search history, and it's like Hell Hades, Hell Hades, Hell Hades. And I'm like, dude, if this leaked, they think I'm like, what, am I obsessed with you? But it's really checking for promo codes. in the process, I'm like, I don't want Hades to get him before I do. So, but in the process, I also get all the new champion stuff and get your take on the new champions, right? And I didn't see anybody, like, I don't even know when they added this dude.
You know what? This is what I'm thinking. I was just like, when did they sneak this guy in? I don't remember him coming in.
I was like, who's this? So anyway, cutting to the chase here. He's got the magic stick on the A1. Big version increased defense for 2 turns on the ally with lowest HP, current HP, which is pretty sweet for an A1, right?
Yeah,
he's got the charge can't on a 3-turn cooldown. He's got the AoE attack, the increased speed, and then the heal based on his max HP. We love to see it, right?
Nice, yeah.
Then he's reviving everybody on the A3, Rise and Fight. He's got the shield on all allies for 2 turns based on 20% of his HP as well. And then on this passive, Aid the Feeble, he's decreasing all damage received by all allies with less than 50% HP by 10%. Like,
it's dude, nice, yeah, for a support unit. I mean, I'm just thinking for this faction as well, like they've got the Reviver in Shaman. Have they got any others?
In Jorg too.
Oh yeah, Jorg. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, damn, that is a crazy support
dude,
unit.
The increased speed, the AoE revive, the solid heal, the damage, the dare I say the Duchess-like passive. I'm joking, guys. I'm exaggerating. But on an epic, it's rare that you find that much support. He's pretty fast too, 105 base speed.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this dude.
Yeah, this is what like I say on my free to play. This is the type of one where I'm like, if I pulled him, he would be a definite build out because there's just so much going on. And you actually look for support units, I find, more as you're building your way through the game than when you've got like accounts like our crazy accounts where it's just like, how can I beat this faster? How can I hit people harder? So this guy gets overlooked. But damn, nice start. Okay, well, can I match that first one? I'm just gonna go in big. I'm gonna go in big with
okay.
My latest 6-star actually on my free to play.
Ooh,
Skimfos the Consumed. This dude, he first actually came to me when I was doing the Deadwood Jedi kind of like challenge thing. He did this kind of faction challenge. And I got Demon Spawn.
I love that. Yeah.
And I was just like, I need someone who manipulates turn meter in the Demon Spawn. And there was literally none of the legendaries were doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I came across this guy, and he's got decreased speed on his A1, plus some turn meter drop. He's got this A3, where he transfers all debuffs from him to an enemy and steals 100% turn meter if he crits. It's such a good A3. And then you're like, yeah, but he's not really helping the team out. But his A2 basically transfers debuffs to himself from your team, so he can then throw them on the enemy with the A3. It's like a really nice hit. Like,
it's a beautiful
the synergy's
synergy.
good.
Yeah.
And protecting your team, loads of turn meter stuff going on. Yeah, I just feel like he's so useful. Like, I use him in Dark Fae, I'm using him in Spider, I'm using him in Finite, and just any of those bosses where you're trying to deal with enemy turn meter or, manipulate their speed. He's so good for it.
He really is.
Yeah.
I love that A1, big version, decreased speed, 2-time hitter. First hit on the speed, second hit on the turn meter. And you're right. Like, that synergy, that was the first thing that struck me. I'm sure most people about him, but that synergy on the A2 and the A3, not to mention stealing 100% turn meter, they kind of added that in. Really cool kit. He has that heal too on himself on the twisted passive, which is nice.
The passive, yeah. And the cool thing here, because it steals the turn meter, so it's on a 3-turn anyway, and his A2's on a 3-turn.
So you come back in.
Because he steals it, you just go again. Like, he cycles his abilities so quick. So yeah, this dude is massively underrated. And I'll say, like, I was in that camp. Like, I massively underrated this guy before I started using him for that Demon Spawn challenge. You just kind of sat around, pull him on people's accounts and be like, who's this fella, whatever. But again, like, under the radar, I feel like he is one of the best turn meter control epics in the game.
I think you're absolutely right. And he's got one wing, man. I feel bad for the dude, but he's cool aesthetic,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he does.
You're right, though. The stealing the turn meter basically allows you to almost get that curse feeder up, the decreased attack up, almost all the time. And you're constantly transferring all those debuffs,
Yeah.
Really cool. Really cool. Good choice.
Okay, man. Right. Who's your second one?
All right, I'm going High Elves. I'm going Skeuramis. Do you know my man?
Skeuramis. Again, one of the new ones. Right.
Yeah,
okay.
I've got a few new ones on my list here.
Nice.
Actually, I've got almost all new ones now that I look at it. Anyway, he's pretty cool. On the A1, Outpace. Attacks one enemy, has a 90% chance of stealing 15% of the target's turn meter. You love turn meter steal.
Yeah.
Also has a 30% chance of placing a stun if the target's turn meter is fully depleted by the skill. Obviously, you're not going to be landing that stun that often, but still a pretty decent A1. On the A2 ability, it's an AoE attack. Decrease the duration of all enemy buffs by 1 turn. As you know, sometimes that's all you need is 1 turn to strip away those buffs. Then it also has a 75% chance of placing a decreased attack. Fills its champion's turn meter by 10% for each buff that it has its duration decreased.
Oh, interesting, yeah.
Nice. Isn't that cool? Like,
that's nice, yeah.
You see the 10% and you're like, who cares, Or I don't know about you, but like when I first glanced at this champion when he's added to the game, I was like, okay, so I get what, like a 40% turn meter fill, whatever. Yeah. But then like I built him and I used him. I have one of these like series where I just build random champions that I pull, and he was one of them. And he was filling his turn meter like every time because obviously it's for each buff total, So
I see, right? Of course. I'm still thinking like, what's the gimmick? So I'm like, well, it can't be used on Spider, But yeah, I get it. So actually, you could get 100% turn meter fill.
Yes.
Interesting.
So I was shocked that like just way more often than you kind of anticipated going into battle. You're like full turn meter back to back, and you're like, whoa, cool.
That's nice. Actually, that's really nice.
Hold the front. He's got the good old 100% chance of placing a provoke on everybody. Also has the counterattack and the continuous heal on himself. 3-turn cooldown, which leads into more turn meter steal on the A1. Great control champion.
That's interesting. I'll tell you what as well. So I was thinking for that stun, but is the stun ever going to land? This is where it lands.
Exactly, because their turn meters are low because they just attacked them.
That's actually, it's a well thought out kit.
Well
done. Great. Well done. That's actually a really well thought out kit. I like it. I like it a lot,
actually. They're impressing me with these new champs, man. They're impressing me. Yeah, he's
very
cool. All battles. Really, really cool champion.
Yeah, nice. Again, this is definitely someone who's gone under the radar for me. I like it. Okay, cool. Right, let's move on to my second one. This is a cool champion. So this one came to me through actually one of the guys from HH Gaming who's on this free-to-play challenge. He pulled himself a Fenshi.
Ooh.
And I was like, and he was
Okay.
using them everywhere. And I was like, Fenshi, what's he doing? And I noticed it was never actually from the team. He's like, yeah, he's going to help me through Fire Knight. He's helping me with Clan Boss. And I started looking at his kit, and he's so good for Fire Knight. He's got
Yes.
this triple hit A1 decreased speed on it, a 40% chance on each hit. So if you're already through the shield, it's basically going on. But if not, you've got a triple hit breaking that shield. Again, you put something like Phantom Touch on him, and he's got a chance even further to break shield. He's then got another triple hit on the A2. And this
On a
one,
2-turn cooldown.
2-turn. It's so good.
Yeah.
2-turn cooldown, and each hit, 75% chance of decreasing turn meter. It's
Wow.
actually ridiculous on a 2-turn.
Dude, I haven't
It's
built
madness.
Fenshi. I've seen him a million times, but I'm sure just like everybody else or most people, except is like you look at him and you're like, okay, a bunch of like multi-hitters,
Yeah,
People
yeah.
target multi-hitters, but you don't. You're right. You don't recognize. Okay, that's a 2-turn cooldown. Each hit on both abilities. That's crazy.
If you think about some of the real challenging bosses, Fire Knight, Dark Fae, a couple of the Doom Tower bosses where you need to get turn meter going. This is such a good A2. It's so good.
Oh yeah.
And then he's got poisons coming on his A3. Again, it's a double hitter, so we've got more multi-hits going in. Each hit places poisons, not a chance. Each hit places poison for 3 turns. And this is on a 3-turn cooldown.
Yeah.
It's actually a really good poison ability as well, like on a 3-turn. So, yeah. Fenshi's way better than I thought he was.
Cool.
So, yeah. Underrated Fenshi. Like, I just totally overlooked this champion for a long time.
Yeah. So did I. Yeah, it totally didn't give enough credit for, especially that A2 on a 2-turn cooldown. What?
Yeah.
I mean, all the abilities, but really, that's crazy. Okay, cool. Next up, I'm gonna go with someone who's not incredibly new, maybe, but what do you know about like there was a fusion that required 4 of her, and it's Fylja.
Oh yeah. This the dwarf.
Little dwarf.
Yeah, interesting champ. Interesting.
So have you built her?
Yeah, so I did build her at the time.
Okay.
And I loved her on Spider. Specifically Spider, I thought she was insane.
Yeah, man. I mean, yeah, she's really, really cool. First off, I think that I made like a video highlighting, underrated epic nukers. And God, I probably got, I don't know, a dozen comments about like, dude, you're sleeping on Fylja. Try her out and thank me later or whatever. And I'm like, fine, I'll do it. So I built her. And boy, were they right. So she's got destroyed. She's got a simple kit, man. She's destroying max HP on the A1. She has 100% of fully depleting the turn meter, but which honestly, after we just look at Skimfos, I feel like it's kind of a crappy ability now. But it's a hard hitting ability. I forgot the multipliers offhand, but I want to say in the 5s on this.
Okay.
Can definitely one shot capable in the arena, especially if you're just like farming your Great Hall. And on her Righteous Evocation, her A3 ability, an AoE fills his champion's turn meter by 15% and heals them by 50% of the damage inflicted if the attack is critical. And then on the passive, if this champion has 2 or fewer buffs at the start of the turn, places increased attack and increased crit damage for 1 turn, which is nice. So a lot of my viewers were using her as an arena nuker next to Arbiter, just on like a speed farm your Great Hall team. She has an incredibly hard-hitting kit, great abilities on the A3. She can come in, fully deplete turn meter on the A2 if you need to. Great multipliers for an epic champion. And then she brings the crit damage herself, right? If you have, there's 2 ways you could run it. You could run it with like an Arbiter, or you could run it with like just 1 champion in a bolster set and just have 1 buff, as long as she doesn't have more than, So cool champion. Definitely not like S tier or anything like that, but definitely rose in my ranks among epic nukers.
Yeah, so this A3 is what I was talking about on Spider as well. Specifically Spider, because you've got so many enemies.
Oh, yeah.
And she was just, again, cycling through her abilities so damn quick, because this just gives you a 100% turn meter fill. Easily.
You're right. She comes in A3, 100% turn meter fill, and then reduced turn meter 100% on the Spider. It's a shame that wasn't a 3-turn cooldown, but maybe I'm getting greedy on the A2.
Yeah, but like you say, like you basically go once, fill your turn meter to full, go again, basically completely deplete the Spider's turn meter, and you're cycling through your ability so damn quick that you're back to this ability within another turn. So yeah, very nice actually. Yeah, cool champion. Cool. It's one of these ones where when I remember play testing her and I was thinking she needs a debuff or something, she needs something else, but I guess in the right situation, arena or multiple enemies, she's actually just solid. Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay, cool. Right. I'm going to go with I'm going to go with a champion. Look, I don't know if he's underrated or not, but
Okay.
he's insane. Like, this champion is insane. And I don't feel like I'm hearing many people say about it. So I'm going to call out Akemtum. Have you built this
Yeah,
dude
man.
out? This is a crazy, crazy
choice.
epic.
He
Like,
is.
Saf's been doing some work with him. So Saf pulled him on his account.
Yep.
This guy is just like doing so much work in a lifesteal set. His kit's completely unique. So normally when you've got, I don't know, champions doing like poison, spreading poisons, that's how they do their damage. This guy does it in a slightly different way. So he puts poisons out. If the target's under hex, he basically, each hit has also got a chance of applying a debuff spread. So he can put poison out and then spread the poison. But when the poison pops, he's got this passive where it's almost like the equivalent of him hitting them to do the damage rather than just a straight poison damage. So if he's in lifesteal gear, he just heals up while it's going on. I'm pretty sure as well, like War Master procs are going off. Like everything's happening, which you don't think should happen when these poisons start going off. It's nuts.
Don't tell Plarium.
Yeah. Plarium, don't watch this one.
Yeah, tune out.
And then he's got Hex as well. Like he's got a triple hitter AoE.
I know.
75 each hit, 75% chance of placing that Hex debuff and increasing the Hex debuff as well.
Where are
It's
you? Are you
crazy.
using him anywhere right now? Like, where are you using him? Because I did a guide on him and I loved him. Don't get me wrong, but I'm wondering like what you feel like his number one, area that he shines in is. Not to put you on the spot.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he's a dungeon runner
Yep.
or a Hydra champion. So
Yep.
I don't have him. Actually, I've not pulled him yet,
Actually-
but I've seen Saf running him for high damage in Hydra. And I've also
Yep.
seen him, he's playing
Right,
around
right.
with, can he be insane for the new hard mode spider? Because basically he's just doing so much AoE damage that he kills those spiderlings really quick. So you're getting those spiderlings pop, which obviously does a load of work to the main spider. Speeding all battles aura as well. He's just, a dungeon runner generally, but definitely
even
in
like
Hydra
old
it's cool.
Fire Knight triple hitter on the A1 and the A2. You're right. Like he's a really incredible champion. He's almost like one of those really special, unique epics that almost surpasses the rarity. Like does something that not even legendaries do.
Yeah. I feel like they've upgraded Void epics. A lot of the new ones that are coming out now are like, they really feel like they're Void epics rather than kind of like epics.
I'm gonna end with a Void epic of my own.
Okay, nice. But that's my third one, man.
Yeah. Good choice. I'm going to go with a brand newbie too. And again, similar to you and Akemtum, I'm not sure if she's underrated or overrated or properly rated, but Morag Bronzelock.
Morag. Okay.
Do you know Morag?
I do. I wouldn't have put her in this group, so I'm interested to see what you got to say.
Why don't you like her?
I've not play tested her. I just didn't really like her kit. I'll be honest. Her kit for me didn't feel good.
Okay. Let me go to bat for my girl here. She's got the raw iron slab on the A1. She's let me actually pull up the multipliers. Should have had this up. Let me pull up the good old hellhades.com here. But okay, so she's got the A1 with the ignoring shield, which is cool. First of all, she looks pretty cool too. Let me
does look cool,
time here while I can pull it up. All right, so she's got a.
She looks like she might be related to Trunda.
What's that?
She looks like she might be related to Trunda, She's got that kind of like...
She does. Or Acrezio a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah.
Outrage in the A2. She's got a 3.9 multiplier on this A2. And then she's bringing the big version of Strengthen on all allies on a 3-turn cooldown, man. Like,
that's
I don't need to tell you, but there's only one. I hope I'm right here. But last time I checked, there's only one epic in the game with the big version of Strengthen on a 3-turn cooldown, and you're looking at her. And Strengthen can be so hard to find unless you're already end game, with Mithrala or whatever.
Yeah.
So getting that Strengthen out of a kind of tanky damage dealer of sorts, so valuable. Obviously, 25% Strengthen on a 3-turn cooldown is 25% damage mitigation straight up. She has. On the A3, she has Raider Captain. Raider Captain is teaming up with 2 random allies. It's an ally attack, right?
Yeah.
She's granting an extra turn if the enemy is killed, which is great. It allows you to potentially, again, keep that strengthen up even more often on the A2, reduce the cooldown there. And again, that ally attack, listen, it's only a 2 random ally, but it's better than a 1.
Yeah, I think that's what put me off her. Like, actually, the A2 is brilliant. I really love that.
Yes. The
If this
A2
was
is
a
nice.
3 allies, I'd be all over it, I think. But I get
I
it. I
know.
get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Strengthen is very
3
hard to
allies
come
would
by.
put her at Creela level, you know?
Sure.
Well, not really, because she doesn't have the stun, she doesn't have the 3-turn cooldown, but come on. But it's still I like the ally attack option personally, right? It obviously will help you greatly in areas like Fire Knight, right? She's a 2-time hitter on the A1. She's teaming up with allies. She's gonna get at least, hopefully 6 hits on the shield, right?
Yeah.
Test this might and land whatever debuffs you're trying to land off the other allies. Test this might. She's also counterattacking when hit while she's under a strengthen placed by herself, right? Which is again on a 3-turn cooldown. So then she gets a lot of extra A1s throughout the course of the battle as well, just stacking up more damage, more War Master, whatever. So yeah, man. I mean, I don't know if I talked you into her, but I'm a fan of Morag.
And so where do you use it then? So I get that a kit's actually pretty
Fire
solid.
Knight.
Fire Knight,
Yeah,
okay.
Fire Knight, Faction Wars, and anywhere you need support, right? Primarily, right? I mean, like, I would take her into honestly, I think you could take her into probably not the higher levels, but her survivability is great. So you could take her into Hydra, especially if you're lacking strengthen, right? So I think that this is a champion who really, you name it, right? If it's Hydra, if it's any of the keeps, if it's any dungeon waves or
Any kind
dungeon,
of multi-wave type enemy or multiple enemies, yeah.
Yeah, and if you pair her with if you're having trouble, even in Doom Tower waves, right? If you're dying, you're just not making it past some of those difficult floors. You can run her with a bunch of AOE stunners and with that ally attack, and then she's gonna be bringing the strength in too, right? So.
Sure.
Listen, she's not, again, I don't think endgame players are going to be rocking her in many areas, but on top of even Faction Wars, I think there's a valid use case, especially because of her unique position with that big version of Strengthen.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, okay. Nice.
Right. Well, you got
right, let's go with my 4th one then. So I'm going to stay here. YST is going to be proud of this moment because Conellia is the champion. Like I'd seen YST doing a ton of stuff with this champion, but I was always yeah, but it's so slow. I was like, I can't get on board with it. Like, she just felt like, yeah, she could solo stuff, but it's going to take half an hour. And I wasn't on board with it. I then had this free-to-play series, and she was my first reasonable epic. And I was like, do I build her out? And I have. Wow, this champion is insane. Like, this champion is absolutely crazy. Her kit's very unique again. She likes to nap. She likes sending people for a nap. But when they wake up, they heal for so much. Like she just keeps people alive. She keeps herself alive. People get turn me to fill. This A3 is crazy.
It really is. 2-turn cooldown, you know?
Yeah, it's bonkers. And not just this, but also our A2. Okay, look, sleep is not the best debuff in the world to kind of control waves. But yeah, but if you're only hitting one enemy, then and you're sleeping the rest, and then when they wake up, there's a chance of them having a fear on them as well. 70% once they've woken up. That's actually big. So you've got one layer of control, which then gets replaced by another layer of control or potential control. Yeah, I am absolutely converted on this champion. She has helped me through so much normal Doom Tower on this free-to-play. I'm like 60 days in, and I'm already on the final boss of this wave of Doom Tower. She's helped me solo Bommel. Basically, I soloed 3 of the bosses. The only one I didn't solo with this champion was Dark Fae. That's the only one I needed an actual squad for. But yeah, she's actually really good. Such a good champion to pick up early on.
Totally agree on her. I was going to try to give you a hard time and come at you on your next choice, but I agree, man. That even like to your point on the piece of the deep, the A2, we talked about all the heals and stuff like that, but I use her as I use her in place of maybe like a Kymar in the arena on my free to play.
Yeah.
And the nice thing about it is she's so fast too. Her base speed's 109, right? So you can use her. You can if you're running like an Arbiter or whoever you're running as a speed lead, it's fairly easy to get her up to the speed you need. And then you can CC and not have to worry about your Madame Ceres or your Ryan the Conjure and your Nuker, So I really like her for that case. And I love you said it best, but I love the secondary CC potential with the fear too.
Yeah, it's so nice because there's been so many moments where I'm doing these kind of waves, working my way through Doom Tower, and they're hard. Some of these are really tough if you don't have the right champions to do it. She just controls the wave for me. She is the only control I've got in my whole squad, and everyone else is just coming in. I'm basically taking control. Back to one of your videos you did a while ago. You need this one skill to do better in this game. A1, A1, one
it.
champion at a time. A1,
Yeah,
A1,
yeah,
because everyone else can take a nap whilst we're just A1 in one of them to death. We then put them back to sleep again, or they're feared, and we go after another one. And it's
It's so
really,
true.
really effective. Yeah.
Sleep is
Yeah.
such an underrated debuff on manual. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
you're
If I
not
put it on
auto.
auto, Kale's throwing out poisons everywhere, and you're just
Yeah,
like,
exactly,
dude,
exactly.
you just woke them all up.
All right,
There
man.
we
I
go.
got my
Right. Who's your last
last
one then, man?
going void. I'm going void here, and I'm probably going with one who's not under. You know what? We talked about this a little bit before we hit record. It's White Dryad Nia, first of all, right?
Okay.
In the Sylvan Watchers,
Yeah, yeah.
and we talked about this as like, do I pick really crappy epics who I think are not that crappy, or do I pick good epics who I think deserve even more praise? And
Yeah.
this is going to be the latter category. I think people probably know how good this champion is, but to me, she reminds me a little bit of. Sometimes it takes the community a little while to kind of to get the champion, first of all, when they're not a part of a fusion or a guaranteed or something, and then beyond that, just really test her out and just see how much potential they can have. So in that, I'm not saying she's better than or whatever, but in that sense, she reminds me a little bit of like maybe a Godseeker and Neri, an epic champion who does something that no other epic does and no other legendary does in her own way. And I really think she's fantastic. She's a defense-based champion. She's got the same A1 ability literally as Krisk. Not saying she is Krisk, but 50% AoE decreased speed on the A1, defense-based. And I want to go to the A3 first. The A3, Bark Flesh, Ally Protect, 3-turn cooldown, big version. Small version of Strengthen, but again, this is on a 3-turn cooldown. Fantastic. The passive, whenever this champion's healed, healing everybody else except this champion by 20% of that heal, which makes her a great candidate for like a regen, a bolster, immortal gear, because you're getting that extra passive heal every single time. And her A2, Righteous Revival, to me is the most overlooked part of her kit, and it's really the most special part of her kit. It's a 3-turn cooldown and removes all debuffs from one ally, heals them by 40% of their max HP, and if the target is not this champion, it decreases the cooldown of all the target skills by 2 turns.
It's a crazy A2. It's such a good A2.
I think that like it's before I built her, it's one of those skills that we talked about earlier with Skeuramis or whatever, right? Before I built her, I just didn't recognize how powerful constantly reducing the cooldown of all target skills by 2 turns, right? Like, you know, think about a Geomancer and just reducing all his skills by 2 turns. And if you have his A2 shut off in a reflex set or something like that, like he's just going to be A3ing all day.
Constantly A3, yeah, definitely.
A ninja or whoever, like a Chronum, just like instant activations all day. And so it's like, it's one of those abilities that you put it right with the right champion, and it's just unbelievable, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a big fan, clearly, of White Dryad Nia. Great support, great control with the decreased speed on the AoE on the A1, and that Righteous Revival is incredible as well, not to mention the extra heal from the passive. So I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I really like this champion. I actually, when she first came out, I remember doing like a clan boss team with one of the other new champions, Elva.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically what I
Elva's
was doing was just like bringing the A2 back online over and over again.
Yeah.
So that we always had increased speed. We always had block debuffs for like a clan boss team. And it was just incredible. Like you say, she can do stuff that, or does something which nobody else can do. And that's always going to be quite special in a team.
Yeah.
So I think she's a bit of a niche pick in terms of you need to think about where you're going to use her. But I guess saying that, she's such a good support unit and very tanky as well that she probably could be utilized in a whole bunch of places. But yeah, nice. Ally Protect. Yeah,
you're not going to
really,
see her on
really
world record teams per se, but like I think that a lot of people will get tons of utility, even in like Hydra, you know?
Yeah.
Again, to your point, just with the Ally Protect, the Strengthen, and the decreased speed on the AoE alone, and then if you can work that Righteous Revival in on a champion that makes the most sense, I mean, you got a lot of potential out of her.
Yeah, it's worth saying actually for people that haven't used her and probably are holding on to her that this will always go to the leader unless somebody is significantly hurt. Like if everything's kind of equal, your leader's going to be the person that gets this cooldown, which is it's important because if you're trying to do auto stuff,
if you want Geo,
that's it. You want to be pushing it to people that are going to get the most benefit. But yeah, really cool shout out actually. I like that.
All right, who you got last?
Okay, my last one. So I feel like this might cause some debate down in the comments. So I'm going to go with it anyway because I feel like in terms of the underrated part, I definitely feel like Grunch is massively underrated. Right.
Okay.
And I was unsure whether to put this one in, but I feel like I'm right. So he's got great base stats. Yeah, good speed, over 100 speed, good defense and HP, which is always solid for a support. The main reason I'm throwing him out there is because he's actually got a 4-turn cooldown on a full cleanse. Yeah, so a full team cleanse, remove all debuffs, puts heals out for every debuff removed. So basically, he's cleaning off all the nasty stuff with your team, and then he's giving them a nice amount of heals. He's got an AoE bomb, which is only on a 1-turn detonation, which hits hard, by the way. This ability hits hard, plus obviously bombs do okay damage, depends on where you're at. But that's not really the kind of good part about it. It's when, if you start to pair him with good bomb champions, his passive is actually really cool. So he fills a turn meter of all allies by 10% whenever a bomb goes off. So if you imagine pairing him with one other bomb champion, someone like a Gauka or War Mother or someone like that, and then all of a sudden, everyone is just cycling their turns so damn quick. When you've got someone who's bringing utility as well as, turn meter fill, A1's okay, block buffs, it's not bad, it's not brilliant, but not bad. But I just feel like he's underutilized, underrated, probably just because he's got bombs associated with him. And his kit's actually solid.
You know what? I've looked at his kit a million times, but I think you're right, man. I think you're right. I think it is his Hex Eater, especially with all that heals on the cleanse, not to mention the cool bomb synergy, but on that A3, it's very similar to the A3 of King Galkabar. And man, I love that A3 ability. I love especially on like the new dragon where he's getting on the hard mode, where he's getting the instant activations off of poisons. You need to cleanse them, and you also need a lot of heals. So
there's just so many areas in the game where you need cleanses. Like you absolutely need it in so many of the Doom Tower bosses.
1-turn detonation, which is perfect,
Yeah. So I feel like he's a bit of an unsung hero. I'm not saying he's not going to go into a load of speed teams, end game, all that type of stuff. But actually, I feel like if you pull him and you're working your way through the game, he can be really valuable.
I agree, man. Good choice. Good call out here. I was skeptical at first, but I'm like, wait a sec. That's some good points, man.
Cool. Well, look, guys, that's going to be it for this video. That's 10 underrated epics. Do you agree? Comment down below. We are going to be doing a video right now, which is going to be linked down below on Ash's channel, talking about legendaries in the same type of way. Ash, thank you so much for coming on, man. Always a blast. Any final words?
Indeed it was, man. My pleasure. As always, Hades, thank you so much for having me, dude.
Brilliant. All right, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you later.